Right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this interesting conversation, history in the making, I must say. I want to start off, first of all, with you, Regis, in terms of the RSSB's vision and how it plugs into this partnership. What do you think the world should know in terms of the significance of this partnership, particularly looking at the vision of RSSB?
Thank you very much, Eugene, for having us. As you started, indeed, this is a history in the making for RSSB, a very special one. RSSB overall, our mandate is to assure social welfare for every Rwandan. And that mandate extends to ensure we support and promote social economic development of the country. With that, we provide different schemes. We cover from pension to whether it's mandatory or voluntary, to maternity leave, to medical insurance for public civil servants, but also universal healthcare covering over 90% of Rwandans. So ensuring that every Rwandan is getting efficient, competitive social security benefits they deserve. But beyond that, our responsibility goes to ensuring that the surpluses are invested very well, not only to provide interesting returns for the members who fund the Rwanda Social Security Board, but also support the country's economic development plans and the vision of His Excellency, President Paul Kagame, for Rwanda and Rwandans. So with that, we do invest in a large portfolio of companies from the financial sector as a pillar investor to other different sectors, manufacturing, pharmaceutical, and research or life science, which is part of what we'll elaborate on today, to ensure that we are the catalytic Rwandan investor supporting the fulfillment of the Rwandan Vision 2050.
Mm-hmm. And it's important because through this conversation, we'll also try to look at the choices of investment of the assets of the over 14 million Rwandans, especially in this area of the medical space. We'll be able to get into that. But I want to understand also from where you said in terms of this partnership, maybe first of all, you could share with us, the overall Akagera Medicine vision and how you feel that plugs into the RSSPs or Rwanda's in general, the vision for health especially, and why this partnership is a significant one.
So many years ago, President Kagame decided that the responsibility for the health care of Africans can also be on the shoulders of Africans. So not only building great hospitals and universities, we have to build a great private sector to meet those needs. So we decided that we would build a company that was focused on a tuberculosis drug that would be better than any other drug in the world. And as we saw global pharmaceutical companies moving away from the space, we decided we've got to build something on our own. And this predated the COVID crisis. So when COVID hit, we were already being prepared with our technology to take on these challenges. Yeah. The RSSB is our owner. They own the majority of the company. So this is the only African company that has a TB drug, a TB vaccine, and many other things in the pipeline. And we'll be going into FDA or human trials in the first half of 2024.
And talk to us a bit about more. Talk to us more a bit about the aspect of even having this conversation of trying to fix the availability of vaccines, even pre-COVID, when the word COVID was not even there. Yeah.
This sounds crazy, but I think President Paul Kagame is visiting us from the future. There's no other way that this gentleman can know that these things are about to happen and that we can plan for them. And he just decided that as he saw global pharmaceutical companies moving away from the needs of Africans, that we had to put that responsibility on our own shoulders. So he set us on this mission to work on the deadliest disease in human history, tuberculosis. And we started working on that and working on that and working on that, developing our own technology. And all of a sudden COVID hits and the world moves to an mRNA formulation. We were already prepared because we had been building a delivery system And the new mRNA molecules can fit into that delivery system. In fact, we could put a TB one in there. We could put a dengue one in there. We could put so many other things in there to fix it. And so things have gone very, very well. We now have 5 vaccines in the pipeline for influenza, for HIV. And then we have our therapeutics that are going to fight tuberculosis and MRSA, which is a terrible problem throughout all of Africa.
Right. I'll come back to that, especially on how this is actually going to be impactful in preparing for the next pandemic, God forbid, if we have any. Regis, I want to hear from you. RSSB has invested, especially when it comes to the over 14 million Rwandans funds into different other portfolios. You've done, green, homes, you've done the golf, you've done several of that. And now this is going towards the aspect of the core of the health and, of course, protecting Rwandans from futuristic diseases in terms of vaccines and all that. Share with us why this direction, what's informing this idea of investing in that direction?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very good question. And then interesting enough, you started with the real estate. There's this perception that the RSSB invests majority in real estate, which you can understand from that perception, it's what people see. Actually, at the breakdown of the RSSB portfolio is about 60% is in fixed income, 30% is in equity, and 10% is in real estate. But this particular investment in Akagera, as Mike said, Rwanda Social Security Board, the people of Rwanda are the majority owners of the company. Part of that 30% of the equity is a very special one for us, not only because it helps us fulfill or walk the talk when it comes to 2050 vision of the country, from creating investments that not only improve lives, but actually saves lives. And beyond that, creating jobs, high-paying jobs. The team of Akagera Medicine is made of some of the best, smartest global scientists working on these very interesting discoveries. And there's no doubt it's a matter of time before we break through with even better announcements in the time to come. But this is exactly what Rwanda stands for, addressing Rwandan problems, African problems, creating opportunities for higher income jobs. But beyond that, these real estates we build, from Vision City to Kigali Green Complex, the new iconic building that will be standing tall in the city, we need global companies to move to Rwanda. They have expectations, their talent needs better high-end homes, their talent needs good offices to work in. And at the same time, where you're creating value for Rwandans living in Rwanda. This is one of the companies that will be part of the biotech. And as you know, Rwanda also, among other hubs we want to create, biotech is one of them. So we are very proud as an organization of members to be spearheading such an investment and working and collaborating not only with some of the smartest people doing the work, but some of the very influential investors also in this sector.
And so if we're looking at this from a Vision 2050 perspective, how close does this move us to achieving the Vision 2050 within the RSSB strategy?
Very good. I'd say very fast, because the impact this investment will have is beyond money. It's about saving lives, but also showing, as Rwanda has done in many cases, that we can provide our own solutions to our own problems without waiting for a savior from abroad. We believe strongly in partnership. In investments we make, we play the role of a catalytic investor, start and then invite on board. We on board, besides being majority, we have some of the very influential investors investing with us along this journey. So that's, again, it contributes not only to creating opportunities that are valuable, but also making Rwanda, creating companies that can come and be anchor tenants in the biotech hub, bringing smart people to work for that company in Rwanda, creating jobs for Rwandans, for things we haven't done before. So it's one of many to come, and part of our portfolio, though today is special for Akagera Medicine, we have invested in other equity funds like a Caterpillars, Virunga Fund, that also investing in other opportunities, creating similar, maybe different sector, but to fulfill that journey of 2050.
Yeah, interesting. I want us to go back to the vaccine appetite and, to the inequality that we saw during the COVID-19, the height of it. And much as all this is happening here in Rwanda in terms of the, BioNTech, setting up the first vaccine plant here. And of course, you also mentioned how this is the first African company that is actually developing the vaccines here. Let's try to think about the rest of the continent of Africa. How does this benefit them? How do they plug into this?
So I'm going to give you our secret strategy, okay? But you can't tell anybody, okay? Here's what's going to happen. We're going to develop some medicines that are important for the whole world, like an HIV vaccine. What we'll do then is we'll partner with a global pharmaceutical company that will sell that vaccine in the United States, in Europe, and in Asia, and then pay us a royalty or a milestone payment. Then we're also working on Lassa fever and TB and dengue. And with those diseases, which are not very important in the rest of the world, we're going to build capacity in Rwanda to do clinical trials, to manufacture, to distribute throughout all of Africa. But here's the really cool part about it. If we make enough money selling the big drugs through the whole world, that means we can provide the drugs that Africa needs at little or no cost to the whole continent, and make Rwanda, what is rapidly becoming anyway, the medical hub of Africa.
And as you say that, the question of intellectual property comes to mind.
Yeah.
It's been a very hard nut to crack. Hot topic. How do you go about this?
Africans already own our IP. There's no issue of taking the IP from the northern countries and giving it to the Africans, because in the case of Akagera Medicines, or as I like to say in the local dialects, Akagera Medicines, Akagera sounds better even. The Rwandans already own the IP. So there's no need to redistribute, there's no need to beg, there's no need to cajole the West into providing these things, because the board of directors of Akagera, has majority members are Rwandan. So if whatever they decide to do, they get to do. So we own the IP.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. Yeah, interesting to hear that, Regis. I mean, for you, where are the loopholes in this partnership, in this venture? Where do you see the loopholes when you look ahead and you feel this is giving you sleepless nights? And as you answer that, you could probably tell us, how are you fixing those loopholes, or how would you think those loopholes will be fixed? What's your biggest fear in this journey?
I think the only thing is we're impatient.
Impatient.
Yes, we have some of the smartest people working on this science, and every step of the way, things have only proven to be better than expected. There will be more conversations along the week about the real scientific talk about it, and people get to hear how advanced and how novel what we're working on is. So from being in the heat of all that, we are very proud and of the commitment we have. Most of these people can be all over the world doing some of the other things. There's shoes, and also appreciating our leadership as a country. His Excellency, the President, to see the vision and mobilizing some of the best people to work on important issues that are critical for us as a country, but also for Africa. So what keeps me up at night? If I had a silver bullet, it would be to fast track time.
Just
get to the vaccines, get to the products, give it to people. As far as the confidence of this working out, it's research, but if history or time past can tell us anything, is that we're on the right track. So just impatient to get there. I'd say.
And this will push me to you and ask you a question on why has it taken this long for this to start coming up in the open? What held us back? What was the missing link?
I'm a very secretive guy. I want everything. We don't need the outside pressure. We put so much pressure on ourselves. And so what's nice about this interview, Eugene, and I thank you for it, is this is our coming out party. It's time to show the world what we've been working on, and that's a sign of our confidence. And we're very, very grateful that the leaders of Rwanda have asked the RSSB to be our board members and our owners, because the partnership has been very strong, very sympathetic, very much a shared vision. I think we talk every 2, 3, 4 days on messaging. We're talking all the time, and it's been a great partnership.
And this is not a question of, like a beauty pageant, who's the fairest or the beautiful one of them all, but it's a question of what makes Rwanda stand out, especially in terms of creating that environment for you to be able to come and say, out of the over 50 countries, we're going to do this.
This is the only place where most things work. It's the only place where if you say it's on time and on budget, people say, couldn't you do better than on time and on budget? It's the only place. Look, the rule of law here protects innovation. So this is a safe place to compete. It's a safe place to build new ideas. But the real reason is the values of the Rwandan people. They're optimistic about the future. They believe that competition and private sector innovation is the way forward. There's trust in the leadership, the military, the police, the education, the RSSB. There's trust in institutions. There's no place else in Africa and very few places in the world that possesses those advantages.
Interesting. Regis, what are you doing with your partners across the region in terms of partnerships? What conversations are happening that could be able to allow, because Rwanda is open, we all know that. And within the country, we have those who would love to still enjoy what happens here when they go out in their countries within the region. Are there any conversations? Are there rooms for meaningful partnerships with your colleagues within the region, maybe?
There's conversation. The most important conversation is start from alignment of value. Mike talked about it. It's a very important one. You want like-minded people, countries, who believe in our capacity to solve our own problems. We won't always have to buy, and we've seen what COVID taught us when you wait for others to make time for you versus you planning for yourselves. So we're having very interesting conversation, not only to invest or co-invest in opportunities like Akagera, but also to do more beyond in manufacturing, in innovation, makeup technology, financial sectors. As you say, Rwanda is open. And one thing that's is creating a good talent of candidates to work for these companies we want to create here locally. You have company institutions like African Leadership University, Carnegie Mellon, University of Rwanda, and so many others, improving day in, day out, creating better candidates, scientists. We are inviting other African countries to, again, come to Rwanda. There are opportunities, we're creating opportunities. But other investors like RSSB is to work with us and dare. You have to dare to do it yourself and invite on board people who have the know-how to, and proof is Akagera Medicine and what we're doing. This is the one of the many, and there's no doubt there'll be many more before. For our partners on the continent, we can do more together, and the invitation stands.
Right, I love that. And maybe if we could ask you on the aspect of capacity building. I think we hear a lot that word, and some people even say, give me the building, keep the capacity, because they've done so much of that. And we've had a lot of talk around capacity building. But on a serious note, what's your biggest challenge, and how do you plan to work on that, especially in building the right skills that will be able to drive this in a sustainable way?
So when I started working in Rwanda almost 25 years ago, we were very upset. This is a little country with no natural resources, we thought. But that turned out to be the good news, because when you don't have natural resources, you don't have access to an ocean, you have to invest in the only possibility of infinite return, which is the investment in your children. So you start investing in education, medical care, their safety, and then they grow up and they become talented individuals. Now, talent is the only increasing returns to scale enterprise. When you have talent in a place, you know what happens? Talent from other places are attracted to it. And that's what we're finding in Rwanda right now. So what we're going to do as Akagera Medicines is we're going to hire the best scientists in the world, the best manufacturers, the best medical doctors. Many of them will be Rwandans. Some will come from other places in Africa. And we're going to bring them back to Rwanda. And because it's such a nice place to live and work now, they're going to be very attracted. And we're going to pay global standard of salary to get them to come back. Because people like that, they can work in Harvard, they can work in Brussels, they can work in Singapore. So we have to pay them a high and rising salary so that they will come back to Rwanda. So that's what we're going to do. And when they come back and they're effective and they're helping to produce the world's standard of drugs, vaccines, then others will follow them. That's the role we're going to play.
I love the sound of that. I think I should switch my career.
Yes, and to complement Mike, I think this goes along, and one thing that is very exciting in Rwanda, being and working, living in this country, you can feel every pillar moving from education, quality of education improving, quality of care improving, quality of housing improving, quality of investment environment improving, and that's part of what makes it's in the making, but as it gets better and better, that these opportunities that become obvious to anywhere, wherever you are in the world, where even with or without RSSB investing, Rwanda is interesting, Rwanda is exciting, it works, and the incentives within the environment ecosystems, they only make better anything created within it. So we are just proud investors to be part of that journey, and our commitment remains, we'll be catalytic, we'll there, while also being risk minded, because we want to ensure that money of the members not only makes the impact and create the value they expect, but goes a long way, very sustainable for many years to come.
Two-part question to follow up on that important point you mentioned. The antidote, the secret in that upwards and onward growth trajectory. And then secondly, for the shareholder who is listening to this and is like, please make it make sense to me, what would you be telling them?
So to our members, being the ones who fund us,
yes.
Number one is to give them the comfort that the fund is stable, safe, and growing at a very healthy pace. We've recently crossed the 2 trillion Rwandan francs in assets under management. And last year we made over 285 billion Rwandan francs in profit.